Hey folks, and welcome to the Mediocre Cover Band Guitar Guy. So it's been a while, or as the cool kids like to say, it's been a minute. So it looks like come March 14th of in the year of our Lord 2022, we're going to be free as birds again. Apparently, if you're lifting all the COVID mandates and dancing and shit like that's going to be normal again, I guess, or as normal as shit can be, because it seems like since 2022 has came in here, shit's gone sideways completely. So just wanted to do a little sort of like a little public service announcement sort of dealy. Mainly, that's why this is nothing like the last few that we've shot. It's just me, the pixel again. So I just wanted to say to people, just because this stuff is coming around again, the first thing you need to do is just calm the fuck down, okay? It doesn't mean because we're going back to sort of some semblance of normalcy, you can go to the bar and say, fuck, can you hire my band? I'll give you money. Because that's where we're heading. You're probably going to have to help out venues. Venues are suffering. They've suffered. First ones to have the clamps put on them, and the last ones to come back out of everything, unless you were serving onion rings and for some reason you could sit down and get drunk and whatever. But if you didn't serve onion rings and shit like that, forget it. And you couldn't do that if you had a small bar. You had to close down completely. You weren't allowed to open, let alone dance clubs. And there's not a lot of strictly dance clubs left in Newfoundland. There's only venue-wise for us. And what I mean by dance clubs for live bands, they're kind of like a dying breed, and we all know that. And that shit was happening long before COVID was a thing, and it's probably going to be a little bit worse right now. As we all know, last year, about 12 months ago, we lost the mighty Tolls. Tolses. Living on Tolses time. It's gone. So just do yourself a little favor and wait for the club to offer you some money. If you go there and they don't want to hire you, then that's all you can do. Don't, and I repeat, don't go in and just give it away, okay? Because that you're just making it harder for yourself down the road, and you're making it harder for people that are already going down the road. So fuck off. That's all I can really say about that. Just fuck off and play the game. If a club offers you the money and that's all they're willing to offer and you take it, then that's your problem. There's a good chance that that's what they're paying for a little while. You don't have to take it. If you feel you're worth more money, then don't take it. By all means, just say, you know what, my band's probably a little bit our worth is a little bit more than that, and you can hold out. If you're struggling for gigs and you just want to get back to playing, you might have to play for less money than you played for last year, the year before, definitely the year before that. So that's what I wanted to strike out on that. And I have a part 2 one here this evening. And it was just something that I kind of wanted to touch on. Because I did a video on this one last summer. Not this summer past, but the one before. Or maybe even the fall, I don't know. I haven't done a lot of these videos, so I should have been able to keep up on them. And that was, I did one on being humble. And keeping it real and everything else, don't... If you're a professional musician, yes, you're not exempt, or there's no unwritten rule that you shouldn't do karaoke and shit, but don't go in and do it with the intentions that because you're a singer in a cover band or a band that you're going to go in and make common folks who are out to have drinks and fun, feel bad about themselves or like they shouldn't have got up and had fun, because that's a shitty thing. But I'm going to touch on another part of that called what I like to call the big fish and the little pond syndrome. And it happens in our fair city here in St. John's quite a bit. We got some people going around, and because they play like a certain club all the time, they feel like they're miles and miles and miles and miles above everybody else, and that's probably not the case, because the city is small. It's a very small city. And if you've played it enough and you align yourself with the right people and you kiss enough of the right rear ends, you can become the big fish in the little pond quite easily. Like I said, it all depends who you align yourself with. Um, you really need to still keep yourself humble, folks. And where this is coming from, I'm sorry, I had to stop and think for a second. Where this is coming from, and I'm going to call this person's status out. Nothing bad, like, I'm not calling them out, but they had a status, and it was Larry Foley had a status before Christmas about a conversation that he'd heard where somebody had stated, sure, he's never going to go any further in downtown anyway. And it seems to me, just reading through Larry's post on Facebook about it, he was a little bit offended by it because Larry is a professional musician. This is what he does for a living. This is what pays his bills, and many of the places he plays are in the city. I would say 90% of his work is in St. John's, and that's fine. He's a professional, and that's what he does, and somebody making those comments can be taken quite shittily. But I'm going to play devil's advocate on this one, and I'm going to go to the big fish little pond thing. And maybe I didn't hear the conversation, I wasn't privileged to be there, so I don't know, and I'm pretty sure Larry Foley's not going to watch this video. I got 5 or 6 people that tune into him, sometimes not even 5 or 6. Why do I keep doing these? I don't even know. Fuck. But anyway, the whole idea for me here now playing devil's advocate is it the fact that somebody might have been talking about one of these people who think that they're going to go beyond the city and really don't have the talent or the drive, or they're the big fish in the little pond, and people that know this person might say, well, they don't have the gumption to leave. Because ever since Great Big Sea became a thing, everybody uses that as the fucking benchmark to make it in the music industry here on the island. And I'm going to tell you, there's a reason Great Big Sea did what they did and accomplished as much as what they did internationally, and especially nationally, because they were huge in Canada, and that's not a small achievement. We're a small country, yes, but to be from a small city and a small province, and to be able to come up with the success that they did and get on the radio and get the videos played, and the longevity of 20 years, that's not a small thing. I didn't listen to a lot of Great Big Sea. That's not a knock on the band. I once again, none of those guys are going to watch these videos. But this is what makes Great Big Sea different from everybody else, is that Great Big Sea went out on the road for 20 years and stayed out there. Great Big Sea built a reputation as being a great band in the city and honed their chops, and then once as they conquered St. John's, started all over again somewhere else and built an audience. And they did that for 20 years. They weren't afraid to leave the comfort of being the big fish in a little pond and making everybody sick of them after a while and going somewhere else, leaving Newfoundland, playing to an arena, a hockey rink full of people, to go somewhere else and play for 30 people in a bar somewhere. And kind of not really reinvent themselves, but starting from scratch. That is the big thing about being the big fish everywhere, is you got to be willing to go everywhere. You just can't stay in one place. It's no good to stay in St. John's and play the same bar over and over and over and over and over and over again and expect that somebody's going to walk in one day and go, you're great, let's put you on an international tour. Let's get you out there in front of people. That's not going to happen. In this province, you have to do that yourself. By leaving this province and playing everywhere you can, in front of everybody you can. Not everybody's going to like you. That's fine. You might have a venue that you play where people might think you suck, but you might go to the next one and you might pick up a bunch of fans. And that's the work and determination. The other things that Great Big Sea had is, do you have Alan Doyle? You got to ask yourself these questions, by the way. Do you have Alan Doyle's charisma? Because love him or hate him, he is full on in the live shows. Solo, Great Big Sea, whatever he's doing, there's 110% put in there. Do you have the musicianship of Bob Howlett? Man is multi instrumental player. plays a lot of different instruments, which helped scope and create a lot of the songs that they played, and definitely gave them their sound, which was rock, pop, traditional, Irish, you name it, it was put in there. And he sort of helped sculpt that. Well, he didn't sort of, he did sculpt that with his musicianship. Um, those were two big things in the band. I don't really know what everybody else bought there. I'm pretty sure Sean McCann did some songwriting and things like that. But those guys seem to be the key players and the people that sort of kept it going through the years. And if you don't have those things in your band and you don't have the gumption to get up and put into work because you're stuck in St. John's, then you're probably not going to do what Great Big Sea did. Okay? So you're just going to be in our little pond, and yeah, you might be the big fish, but you're not going to move outside. So you gotta do the work. So that was my devil's advocate rant on it. That maybe the person thought they were going to be something that they weren't. Somebody was sort of calling it out. If not, and if you're slagging St. John's, Newfoundland in particular, we have a lot of musicians, and I would say the largest percentage of them are centric to the city, and that's where they make their living. You'd be lucky if you're a musician to get down there and play in some of those places. It's not easy. If you're playing around St. John's, CBS, the Mount Pearl area, even as far as Central, you're lucky, okay? And by Central, I'm thinking more Clarenville-ish. After that, you're heading more west. So you're lucky, okay? You're lucky to be playing, and you need to keep it humble. Myself, I'm a very, very, very little fish in a very, very little pond, and that's my lot in life. I'm not that guy, and I know that, and I've accepted that long ago. John Walsh once made a comment to one of our former band members when talking about making it, and he said every year you have to kind of restructure what you consider making it. And when you get to a certain point of your life where you're paying your mortgage, your car payments, buying your equipment, and doing everything that you're doing, by doing the one thing that you love, you kind of already made it, didn't you? Fame and fortune, that's a whole different ballgame. You pretty much got to sell your soul. So somebody that's making it, and like I said, paying their bills, raising their kids, buying groceries, and everything else that everyone else does on a regular basis by going to a day job or another job or whatever, where you're employed by a large employer or small employer or whatever, then you've made it, because you're really kind of doing things on your own terms. So that's all I wanted to say on that. Hopefully we'll get back to the other format one of these days. COVID's really played a big part on that. So those are the two things that I wanted to say today. Basically, is take your time right now. I've seen some bands that are already geared up and ready to go when the bars kind of reopen. Some of the bars are reopen, and I've seen that some bands are already playing without with the dance restrictions. And that's cool, but it's up to the general public. If you can get out and support the venues, go out and support the venues. I know things are scary right now. We've got more cases of COVID going on in the province than we've ever had before. Back when we considered 28 to be a lot, now I think this morning they announced we have 1,900 cases, but apparently the variant isn't as bad as blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to fucking get into all that shit about COVID. So, do what you can, support the live streams. And here's another thing, tip jars. There was an argument about should people have tip jars, to tip or not to tip. Remember, musicians go out and play. If you're doing the solo thing, if you're doing the band thing, and they get paid money, if they decide to put off a Facebook Live or stream something or do whatever, and they put a tip jar there and you want to tip, tip. If you don't want to tip, don't tip. You don't need to fucking argue about it on Facebook and say that somebody's wrong for wanting to put a tip jar there. It's up to the individual or individuals to do so, so just leave them alone. None of your business otherwise. They don't come to your work and say you shouldn't pay Fatso for taking a dump on company time, so why should you be fucking concerned about what somebody else is doing? on Facebook. So that's all I really had to say. I just wanted to clear it up because that's been on my mind since before Christmas. The whole playing downtown. For some people, that's their lot in life. That's where they are, and they're content. And for some people, they think they're going to come out of it, and 10 years later, they're not, or they do leave the province for a decade and come back, and they're not as big as they thought they were, and they're doing the same shit everybody else is doing. But other than that, that's all I really got to say today. And stay safe, folks. Get out and support your live music as much as you can, or in some capacity. Like I said, I know everybody's scared shitless. And stay safe. Look after each other. Be kind, because there's not a lot of that going on right now, man. So just be kind. Be helpful. Get your cats and dogs spayed, neutered, and maybe some of you should have your children spayed, neutered, because there's a lot of little shits running around. But anyway, see you later. That's another time.